There was once a man in B, and this guy could never shut up, and people would always be so annoyed at him that they would always tell him to be quiet, but he just never stopped talking. So eventually the townspeople had enough, so they went and they sewed his mouth shut. And from that day on, an urban legend was born about B, whose mouth was sewn shut because he could never shut up and he always kept annoying people. So there was a phrase that evolved from this that people started saying when people were going on the nerves. They said, "You're going in B's way," and that was a way of saying to shut up, you know? If people were being very annoying, they would just say, "You're going in B's way," and then people would be like, "Oh, okay, fine, okay, I'll shut up, jeez." So, and then this phrase shortened over time to just B's way, that you would yell at people when they were talking, and at that point, people didn't even remember anymore where the phrase came from. It was just like, B's way meant shut up, and that's all it was. They don't even hear it as B apostrophe S W A Y. They just hear it as phonemes B's way, and that's how the Chinese word
闭嘴
got invented. I'm just obviously clearly just joking, but this story is what my brain came up with when I heard the Chinese word 闭嘴 for the first time. So I thought to share this pretty funny because it's an interesting way to world build. Like, it's just a fun, silly little tool that you can use to make expressions. Like, you can use this for your clongs. Like, you could come up with like a name, like in my example was B, and then you come up with a possessive, you know, of or z apostrophe s, and then you have a word for like way or a manner or path, and then you put those words together, and then you have a word. In this example, it means shut up, but it could really mean anything if you take this idea. You can use it to mean like courageous, maybe. Like, there was a story of a guy who always beat up the bad guys, so whenever someone was B's way, that meant you were being brave. So that was just an interesting, fun little way that you could come up with new words. Like, maybe sometimes some conlangers struggle to come up with words, so this was just an interesting tool that you can use to come up with new words. And it also can give you new expressions. Like, languages are filled with expressions, but it's hard sometimes to come up with them. So like, here's one way. You just put like mannerism of somebody, and that means, I don't know, it could literally mean anything, any adjective really. Some guy was really sick and he puked all over the place. So let's say the person's name was Arapapa. So you say mannerism of Arapapa means to be very, very sick. So you can shorten mannerism of Arapapa into just like one word, just like I am going to shorten to ama. So, and then you have a new word now, Manapapa. And then, or you can keep it as an expression, and then you can have like a background to your words. It makes the language feel like it was lived in more. You have more time, more history to your language. And also, besides for the language, you also have urban legends from this that you can add into your worlds. Like, now you have a character named Arapapa, and it enriches the culture a little bit. You know, people can just mention it in passing every once in a while, and it makes it feel more lived in, you know? And let's say B's way, if it's not like a single word, if it's still something that people know the etymology of, like if it's an urban legend, you can have it as something that mothers tell children to get them to behave. Like the boy who cried wolf, right? It's pretty funny that a good chunk of my recent videos have a component of something that mothers tell children, but I guess that's just been in my mind recently. But you know, it is something that is an important piece of background culture. Like, it does influence the way people act, and that everybody has something that they tell children, I assume. So I don't know. This video was more of a meme, but it's still juice nonetheless.